About an hour before we were to arrive in Flushing, the train came to a screeching halt. And again, these various troops, the SS, the SA, and whoever else they could round up, everybody off the train. There was a huge building there, and as we walked into this building, women and children were made to go into this large room on the right, and all the men on the left. The adults were made to strip, and they were searched thoroughly. The Nazis didn't trust anybody. They thought that there were a lot of people that were going to smuggle jewelry and other valuables out of the country. They even ripped open the lining of the new coats that my brother and I were wearing, figuring that jewelry might have been placed in there. It was a horrible, horrible experience. And finally, after quite a period of time, we were told, or those that were undressed were told to get dressed and get back on the train. And as we were walking out of this room, my mom asked one of the soldiers, "What about the men?" And he replied, "You don't have to worry about them. You'll never see them again." Well, we made it to the train, and we were looking out the window, and all of a sudden, as the train started to chug along very slowly, we saw 5 men come running from the building. And one of them was my dad, lucky enough. They caught up with the train, got on board, and we were so happy to see him, we didn't even ask him at first how he was able to get out. But when the truth came out, he told us that once he walked into that building, into that room, he placed himself near the door because if there was any chance to escape, he would take that chance. And he was one of 5 people near the door who were given the order, "You 5, go." And they went. Well, we finally happily made it to Flushing. We got on the boat going across the English Channel. I was seasick all the way across, but who cared? We had our freedom. And we stayed in England from February 1939 till November 1940. It wasn't easy over there. Refugees received very rough treatment. They couldn't get jobs because unemployment was kind of steep. And they're not going to hire refugees and keep their own British citizens out of work. So Dad did whatever jobs he could find and to provide for us. And Grandpa and the uncles sent us gifts, care packages from time to time. Those were always welcome. And finally, in November of 1940, we received the permission and the clearance to leave England and to come to the United States. It was November 6, 1940 when we left England. November 19th, 13 days, when we arrived in the United States. And even that journey wasn't without problems. Our ship, the SS Samaria, had left Liverpool to come to New York. 24 hours out at sea, the boat had to drop anchor because the day before there were 40 British ships sunk by submarines, by German submarines. And none of these ships had been deep enough for us to continue on our designated course. The captain of the Samaria could not go off course for fear of hitting mines that were placed in the ocean. So we stayed there. We were like a sitting duck, but we did have air support from British fighter planes that kept circling overhead. And finally, after 24 hours, he picked up anchor and we proceeded on on our journey to this great country. Our grandparents met us, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful feeling to be free again. Let me conclude by telling you this. I was raised in an Orthodox Jewish home. For whatever the reasons, I didn't take much to the Orthodoxy. I had no choice when I was living at home, but once I was on my own, I had to accept and adopt what I felt comfortable with. And I believe in the Messiah. I consider myself now a Messianic Jew. I accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior. And quite frankly, I have difficulty understanding why all people can't accept Jesus as a Lord. He came into my life, it was actually about 6 years ago. I was at a church service with my wife, Beth, and the choir was singing a song. I don't recall the name of the song, but all of a sudden I had this feeling come over me, like my heart opened and my life opened. Something came over me, and I knew then that I had accepted the Lord. I have been on that same path ever since then. We go to Sunday school regularly. I pray to the Lord every night. And I'm grateful that He has saved me so many times in the past.